Hi everyone, it's Kino here. Thanks so much for joining the Ashtanga Yoga Challenge. This is day 10 and we're going to look at reverse plank or Purvottanasana. So again, now we've come into the seated postures, and if you reflect back on our forward bend journey from yesterday, in the forward bend journey yesterday we began to find the neutral position of the spine and then fold forward. Now we're going to take that neutral position of the spine and do our first really long hold in a back bend position. Now we have to flush the back bend position a little bit out. So when you're working Purvottanasana, which is called reverse plank, it's like you took plank and you flipped it upside down, which means that instead of using your front body to lift up from the inside, you're going to use your back body to lift up from underneath. Okay? So thinking about this posture, you really have to understand a couple of things. First, your shoulders, ideally for most people, want to internally rotate, and the internal rotation of the shoulders will help lift your trapezius muscle up to support the cervical spine. Second, and this is very important for the posture, you want the muscles of the navel to draw in and really lift up and elongate. Many people in Purvottanasana will find that the belly really pooches out. So let's go ahead and break this posture down, and I'd like to kind of show you an easy entry into Purvottanasana. So first, if your back is a little bit tight or sore, the first thing you want to think about is reverse tabletop position. In reverse tabletop position, you can grab a block and squeeze the block between your knees. This is going to help you really just find a good distance apart for the knees and prevent the knees from splaying out to the side. Then, taking your hands back behind you, you're going to roll the shoulders forward. Now, don't worry if you feel a little bit too much movement in your wrists, because as soon as you lift up, you're going to bear the weight onto the wrists. Then, once the shoulders roll forward, you can drop the head back. So, we'll hold this for about 5 breaths. 1, gaze at the nose tip. 2, draw the navel in. When you breathe into your chest. 3, almost there. 4, and 5. Exhale, we set over to the side, straighten out the legs. And so this is Dandasana position, remember from yesterday. Now let's prepare for Purvottanasana without the block. So you can check it out without the block. Roll the shoulders forward, draw the navel in, and then inhale, send the hips up and forward. Now here's the place where, if you stick the belly out like this, your back gets really heavy. So draw the navel in and then send the hips forward and up and breathe into your upper chest. 1, 2, almost there. 3, gaze at the nose tip. 4, and 5. Exhale, we set it down, straighten out the legs, Dandasana position for a moment. Now point your feet. Let's begin to work Purvottanasana now with the straight legs. Point the toes, but don't try to squeeze your toes to the ground. If you try to squeeze the toes to the ground, you can get a cramp in your foot or your calf muscle. Instead, just roll your thigh bones towards each other, pressing the base of the big toes into each other, lift the kneecaps. Then we take the hands back. As you take the hands back, we're just going to work the upper portion of the spine. So roll the shoulders forward, and then inhale, lift the center of the chest up. And let's hold this for 5 breaths. Don't drop your head back for this one, and it's okay if your wrists are getting a little bit of a stretch here, but just really practice rolling your shoulders forward and expanding the chest. 1, 2, almost there. 3, 4, and 5. Now push it forward. Again, return to Dandasana. Roll out the shoulders, roll out your feet. And now we're going to see if we can combine that with a powerful lift up and forward. So roll your thigh bones in towards each other. Draw the navel in. Think about the ribs lifting up and away from the pelvis. Take your hands back. Now this time, when you take your hands back, bend your elbows. Scoop the belly in to make sure that you start off both with weight in your hands and the navel drawn deeply in. Now when you come up, you're going to use your back muscles to push the pelvis up and forward. So inhale, hips up and forward. 1, try to keep the legs straight from the beginning. 2, if your feet don't touch the ground, it's okay. Just keep pushing the pelvis up and forward. 3, 4, almost there. 5, exhale, set it down. Okay, we shake it out for a moment. Now, what I would advise against is, especially if you have a sore neck or you feel that you need a little extra support in the posture, really try to avoid coming up with bent knees, picking the hips up, and then trying to straighten, because then the body just feels very, very heavy. All right. Second thing to avoid is squeezing your shoulders together to try to use that to lift up. Then the body gets very locked. All right. So you're thinking about finding the movement mechanic that's going to send your pelvis gently up and forward. Let's review the shoulders because it's a little confusing. So when you're thinking about your shoulders, if you pinch your shoulders together like this, then you take the hands back. Again, for most people, this is going to provide a little bit less support for the neck and feel a little stuck. On the other hand, if you roll the shoulders forward like this, it will feel as though there's more space around the neck, and at the same time, you'll be able to more comfortably lift up in the posture. So you're really practicing that shoulders forward spinal extension. Most people have a hard time rolling the shoulders forward when they go for a spinal extension. So let's just practice that one more time before we take Purvottanasana again. So interlock your fingers back behind you, draw your navel in, and then experience the two potential shoulder positions. You could pinch the shoulders together and notice how that feels like. Well, it feels like you're doing something, but if you start to bear weight in this position, most people, not everyone, but most people are going to find that it's less than ideal. So the majority of people who are starting off on the practice are going to find that it's going to be more efficient to rotate the shoulders forward like this, and then draw the navel in, and as you lift and expand the chest. And this is the same shoulder position that you find in Prasarita Padottanasana, and the same shoulder position you find in all back bends where your hands are below the shoulders. It's a really good kind of, neurological connection to make. Oh, my hands are below my shoulders. I'm going to rotate my arm bones forward and expand the chest. Okay, shake that out for a moment. Now, what are you going to do if you have a wrist injury? So if you have a wrist injury, it's like, gosh, well, what was all that? I can't do any of that. If you have a wrist injury, then you can actually do Purvottanasana on your elbows. So we can come back on the elbows, expand, and this is a little less of an exciting lift up, but it really is quite effective. So you can walk the elbows back, so the elbows are under the shoulders, roll the shoulders forward, draw the navel in, and then inhale, hips up and forward. And then you can explore how much of up the hips want to go, and if you can keep your thigh bones rolling towards each other or drop the head back. And then exhale down. You can even do this one with the bent knees. So if you want to take the tabletop position, you just might not lift up all the way. So this also works. And you can hold it there for a moment and exhale. Purvottanasana, one more time. Reverse plank is actually quite a hard posture. This is a very difficult posture, actually. So the fact that we're repeating it over and over again, you might notice that it's getting harder. So hands back behind you, and let's just roll through the alignment. Draw the navel in, bend the elbows, push weight into the hands, and then inhale, hips up and forward. A big blooming breath in your upper back. We hold for 5. 1, 2, find your back bend in this posture. 3, 4, and 5. Exhale. Cross your feet, hide your feet underneath you, and then easy, walk it back to plank. Find your plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing, big breath in. Exhale, breath out. Let's take 5 breaths in downward dog so you can feel your shoulders releasing and opening. 2, 3, almost there. 4, and 5. We'll sink the knees down. Just make sure the spine is totally released after our Purvottanasana work. Take child's pose for a few breaths. 1, 2, and the navel is in. 3, 4. Relax your back muscles. Relax the spine. Relax the nervous system. And 5. Draw the navel in and inhale. Let's lift the head up. Cross your feet. Come on back to seated. Good job. Okay, so this is Purvottanasana, and I want you to really think about what is the appropriate option for you to do this practice. Do you want to take reverse tabletop? Do you want to use the block? Do you want to use the assistance of the elbows, or do you want to try a completely different variation of the asana? And so there are probably even more versions of the reverse plank, but these are some of the ones that you can really integrate into the flow of the Ashtanga practice, and so you'll always have an option that really, really works for you. You're building strength along the back muscles, so So really watch out for if there's any pinching sensations in the muscles of the back, and if there are any pinching sensations in especially the joints of the spine, of course you want to come out of your back bend. The same thing with your shoulders and your collarbone. If you notice that the collarbone starts to roll too much forward instead of the shoulder only internally rotating, that's a good reason to kind of come out of the posture. So really be conscious of where the appropriate level of work is in your practice. Now, if you take yesterday's series of poses with today's asana and you combine them, Dandasana, Paschimottanasana, and Purvottanasana, these 3 asanas, all right? 3 asanas. We got 1, 2, 3. Take the spine through the entire range of motion. Neutral, forward fold, back bend. I mean, we don't have the twist in there, but you could consider that accessing the twist is a little bit of a combination of a hip flexion and a spinal movement, so that's coming soon, and we'll get there in the practice. Now, where do I want to leave you for today? Well, I would like to leave you for today with the inspiration to keep practicing. So please leave me a comment. Your support really means a lot to me. If you applaud this video or leave me a badge, that really makes me happy. And definitely leave me some comments and let me know how you're doing. I'm doing this because you inspire me. I am really, really grateful to each of you for doing the practice. And I feel like the more we do the practice, the more self-knowledge that we gain, the more that we can become better human beings out there in the world. So that's why I teach, that's why I practice. I feel like a nicer person each time I get off the mat. It's pretty much that simple. So keep practicing, keep your spirits high, and keep coming back to the mat over and over and over again. And I will see you tomorrow. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can't say your screen name, but thanks for the badge and the support. Baird Shulex, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Super. I'll see you tomorrow, everyone. I really, really appreciate it. And remember to keep sharing the practice, keep getting on the mat, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.